then learn from its mistakes, and then how today China is the fastest growing economy in the world. So we have watched China. There was a time when Pakistan was considered one of the fastest growing countries in Asia in the 60s. And we heard that China learned a bit from Pakistan. And now is the time for Pakistan to learn from China. Personally, the thing that inspires me most about China, what inspires me most about China is the way they have lifted 700 million people out of poverty in 30 years. This has never happened in human history. And for someone who cares about humanity, I think this is an example which the entire world can follow and learn from China. So, for me, this is the most important thing Pakistan can learn. The way China has lifted people out of poverty. And what I have understood so far, China allowed their businesses to make money. China concentrated on their special economic zones, the export zones. They brought in investment from outside. They created wealth. And from that wealth creation, they spent it on the less privileged, poor section of the society. And that's how they've achieved the miracle. And that's what we intend to do in Pakistan. The other thing I've learned from China is the way China has tackled corruption. President Xi Jinping's, one of his biggest crusade has been against corruption. And from what I hear, correct me if I'm wrong, that some 400 people, ministerial level people in the last 5 years have been convicted on corruption and put behind jail. And then, you know, I read in the papers, now I don't know whether it is true, that there was a Chinese mayor who tons of gold was found in his room. And within 5 days he was convicted. So, why is this very important for not just Pakistan, but most of the developing world to learn from? Because the most important thing is, if you have corruption, it stops investment. Corruption is one of the biggest impediments in investment coming into your country. One of the main reasons why we have not been able to develop this great potential of Pakistan has been the fact that red tapeism, and red tapeism is also because of corruption. When you slow down, by slowing down procedures through red tape, it is a way of getting speed money, corruption money. And corruption, when firms have an opportunity of, they can invest anywhere in the world, they will always invest in economies that are cleaner. Economies where there are less impediments in the way of investment. So I wish I could follow President Xi's example and put 500 corrupt people in Pakistan in jail. But unfortunately, we have a very cumbersome process, and so we hope in time we will improve it. But I do believe that this is something also, the way China has gone ahead, the way they have learned from their experiences. I went to the Chinese Communist Party, and they explained to me the process of meritocracy, how everything is analyzed, how there's a constant think tank thinking of how to improve themselves. So this is remarkable about the way China has gone ahead, and looks like it will leave all the countries behind within the next decade. Now Pakistan, since my government has come into power, we have taken a conscious decision that we will make it easier and easier for investors to come into Pakistan and we will want them to make profits in Pakistan. We will encourage profitability. We had a mindset where businesses, when they started making profit, there was some sort of an envy in our system, in our bureaucracy, amongst our politicians, and they would somehow want to pull them down. This government is the first government since 1960s which is encouraging businesses now, which wants them to make profits in Pakistan, which wants them to get rich in Pakistan. And the Prime Minister's office is driving this, the opportunities for people to invest in our country. The ease of doing business is driven from the Prime Minister's office. Now we have just formed a CPEC authority because we were having problems in CPEC projects because they were under a lot of different ministries. Now we have decided that there will be one authority which will resolve all the problems of CPEC. And that authority will be the Prime Minister office, so that it can, my office can make it easier for people investing in Pakistan, people from China investing in Pakistan. I'm pleased to say that we have done a few things which I will tell you. We have in Gwadar Port and phase 1 of Gwadar Free Zone, that has been completed. And Gwadar Airport will soon be completed. Work has started on it. Gwadar, as you know, is the port. One of the whole idea of CPEC initially was to connect China to the Indian Ocean and to the Gwadar port. So we have also now Gwadar's Smart Port City Master Plan has been approved finally. It took us time. Concessions for Gwadar Port and Free Zone have been approved. Issues of tariff and pending payments on energy projects have been resolved. In the phase 2 of CPEC, our cooperation will focus on industrial cooperation, agriculture. Very important agriculture. Pakistan has one of the most fertile lands, but unfortunately one of the lowest productivities. And that's what we hope to learn from the Chinese experience of your high productivity, seed development, in water management, in fisheries especially. So that is the next emphasis. And why, just as my Commerce Minister said, why should people invest in Pakistan? So there are 5 reasons which I want to again repeat. Pakistan's strategic location. Pakistan is one of the most strategic located places in the world. Number 2, we have a population of 220 million people. And unlike China, Pakistan's 60% of Pakistanis are below the age of 30. One of the youngest populations, which means a vibrant population, a young, vibrant population, labor force. And then we have started this economic revival through reforms. You will be pleased to know, those who want to invest in Pakistan, that in the ease of doing business, Pakistan has made the biggest strides. We have gone up the greatest number in the whole of South Asia. And overall in the world, we are number 8 in a country that has made the greatest advances in ease of doing business. And then, of course, the industrial clusters through special economic zones. We are working on them. Some have moved ahead, others are a little bit slow, but we are now especially concentrating on our special economic zones. And where do we want Chinese investment? We would love them. We would want Chinese investors to come. I met this morning very, very powerful Chinese investors, some already there and some who want to expand their investment. So I've met them. And I must say, I was very happy this morning with the quality of investors we have. So we will facilitate them, but the sectors we want Chinese investment is number 1, textile, because Pakistan is one of the biggest producers of cotton, manufacturing, IT and financial services. We would like your people to come and help us there. Physical and technological logistics, food processing and agriculture, tourism and hospitality. Pakistan is one of the most untapped tourist potential places in the world. We have, out of the 12 or 13 highest peaks, over 24,000 in the world, 6 are in Pakistan. Pakistan's northern areas are twice the size of Switzerland, and it has diversity, different types of mountains. It has desert, it has plains, it has 1,000 kilometers of sea coast. So it is very diverse, a country which is not untapped for tourism so far. Secondly, Pakistan is one of the most, for religious tourism, it is one of the most sought after place for Buddhism. It was one of the centers of Buddhism. Taxila was one of the centers of Buddhism. Then for Sikhism, then for Hinduism, and then even for Christians, it has the highest number of churches in a non-Muslim, in a non-Christian city. Plus, Pakistan is one of the, well, I can't say this here because China is one of the oldest civilizations in the world. But compared to the other countries in the world, Pakistan is one of the oldest countries with a 5,000 years old Indus Valley civilization. Housing, we are just starting on one of the most ambitious plans of housing in Pakistan. We have decided to build 5 million houses in 5 years. Pakistan has a huge shortage of houses. We have at least a demand of 10 million houses right now. So there's a big shortage. So we're trying to build in the next 5 years 5 million houses, and affordable houses for people who cannot buy expensive houses. So we would appreciate, we would invite Chinese investment there. And then oil and gas. In oil and gas, we have huge areas which we haven't had because of policies that discouraged drilling. We haven't had much interest in there, because now we have initiated policies for companies to come and drill in oil and gas. And then, of course, we one of the biggest copper and gold reserves. We have big coal reserves in Pakistan, in Thar. So we already have Chinese companies in both, in gold as well as in coal. Security situation in Pakistan has improved. There was a time when people were scared to come to Pakistan because of our security situation. Thanks to our intelligence agencies, our security forces, Pakistan is now one of the safest places. And so that no longer is the issue. But we have specially created security forces to protect our Chinese workers there. So for Chinese, we have actually created a special force so that, to provide them extra security. Our visa regime. We have liberalized our visa regime. For Chinese nationals, they can actually come and get visa at the airport. This was not the case before. We had a very difficult visa regime. So that has been eased up, and it is also for 70 other countries we have allowed them to come and get visas at the airport. All the major cities of Pakistan are connected with air routes now. This is now exactly where China was in 1978. This is where Pakistan is now. It's a great time to come and invest in the country. Our labor cost, as my Minister of Commerce said, our labor cost is only about 20%. 20% of what is the labor cost in China. So there is a comparative advantage now. We have, of course, developing the free trade agreement with China now to the next phase. We are developing that further. And Pakistan, of course, because of its location, it gives Chinese companies coming into Pakistan to re-export from Pakistan. It's much easier, bearing in mind the trade restrictions right now.